for tuning in. Yeah, I know I don't usually do wrap-ups. I've never done a wrap-up video before, but I wanted to do a wrap-up of these few graphic novels that I had just read in the last few days, only because I heard in the last few weeks people complaining there's not enough diversity in literature, there's not enough diversity on BookTube. And I just wanted to point out that yes, there's a lot of diversity if you just go out and look for it. And I'm going to share with you guys a number of books, and I'm going to tell you why I think they're diverse and why maybe you should read them. Some of these I liked, I thought they were okay. Like one I really absolutely loved, and a couple I just hated. But I'm going to share them all with you. I think it's kind of, bad when people only spotlight books that they really, really love and really liked. And just because I may not have liked a certain book does not mean that perhaps you may like it, or you may not like it. First up, we have Why I Killed Peter by Alfred and Olivier Ka. Olivier Ka is the guy who wrote this, and it had a very short synopsis that Peter is a liberal priest. He's cool, he's funny, he's not a priest, he's like a regular guy. It's like I have a new uncle, a great one who laughs, who sings, who tickles. It doesn't really give you very much, and there is a reason why they don't give you very much. And this is a French graphic novel. I'll show you a little bit of what the artwork looks like. There is inside. Every chapter starts out with a certain age, and he says, why I killed Peter because I was age such and such. And it basically, it's a true story, too, which if I don't remember if I added that or not. It's a true story of this young, this guy from France, and his experiences. His parents were hippies. He spent some summertime with his grandparents who were religious, and he met this priest, a traveling priest named Peter, and he went to a summer camp which was conveniently located at this priest's house. And so basically the story goes where, each little portion of his life he tells the reader the different experiences he's had as a child and sexuality. Because his parents are hippies, he's seen adults nude, he's gone skinny dipping, etc. And I don't want to break to you guys what happens to him at the summer camp, but it's a big shocker, and one that I can see why they don't mention it in the synopsis, that's the main point of why this book doesn't have a synopsis, because they want you to just be floored by the revelation of what happens. I think that's a brilliant approach to this kind of book, and it was one that, yes, while I did think that was great, and I thought the artwork was kind of neat, I just thought it was an average read, and I only rated this 3 out of 5 stars on Goodreads. I just thought it was okay. It could have been a lot better, but I felt it was lacking in some ways. Like, he skipped over a number of years, and I'm guessing it's only because he remembered a lot of this stuff when he was later in his 30s and he was trying to remember key moments of his life. But that is Why I Killed Peter. If you're into, the reason I say this is diverse is because it is hippie culture and it is from France. So that's why I'm saying this is a diverse book. The second book that I read this week was called The Undertaking of Lily Chen by Novgorodov. This one, I didn't even know that such a thing had, existed in China. And it was interesting because the whole cultural aspect of when a young man dies, the family feels like they have to provide him with a wife in death. They believe that in the afterlife, their son will be living with whoever they choose to bury with him. Sometimes they will go to such lengths as grave robbing, and sometimes they'll even dig up like really old corpses, or they'll, go to the extremes of killing someone. this is a very beautifully done book. It's done with watercolors, and I was just really, really impressed. I loved how the chapters were segmented by the days and different events. This is a book you have to read. Like I said, it's just blew my mind, this cultural aspect, and I love the way it was wrapped up in the end of the story. I don't want to spoil it for you guys and let you know how it ends, but I was shocked by the ending. This is one I think I rated 4 stars on Goodreads. Definitely check this one out. I don't think that the lady who wrote it is Chinese. I think she might be Russian. But this is a very, very good book. You should check it out. That was one that was recommended to me by Goodreads. Here is another book that was recommended to me by Goodreads called The Last Days of an Immortal by Gwen de Bonneville and Fabian Vellman. This takes place in a future where the humans interact with different aliens around various universes and galaxies, and people don't die. What happens when they die is your consciousness is put into what they call an echo, and the echo more or less is a clone of who you were. So in theory, you never die unless you can get that person and all their echoes together and kill them all at once, which the one main character tries to explain is a very hard thing to do. This story, I thought, with all the echoes, was just so confusing to try to keep track of it all. It's a sci-fi police detective mystery type book, and I just lost track of who was who, what was going on, because with so many clones and just such a weird story, I just couldn't get into it. The artwork is very, very good. It's not black and white, it's kind of like ink wash or whatnot. And I just thought it was so strange and bizarre. And yes, I know you're saying to yourself, but Dan, I know you really like strange, bizarre books. Like you loved the Transmetropolitan series. You loved so many of these other graphic novels that you said were strange and bizarre, but you don't like this one? Sorry, I just wasn't feeling this one. I only rated this one 2 stars on Goodreads. I thought it was too strange, and yes, this is another French graphic novel. Just because I didn't like it, you may like it and love it. I saw that some people thought it was brilliant. They compared it to a Mystery Crosses with THX, whatever numbers that was, that George Lucas film. So possibly, a lot of people rated it 4 or 5 stars, and maybe it's something you will enjoy too. So feel free to check that one out. And last but not least is Julios Day by Gilbert Hernandez. When I first found out about this book, I was really excited to read it because there are not many, Latino American books out there. They're just far and few in between. And I was really excited to read this because when I read that it was about a guy who lived for 100 years from 1900 to 2000, I was like, wow, this is going to be such a great book about a Mexican living in America and what his experiences are. And I was very disappointed. I rated this one 1 star, I think, on Goodreads, and I'm going to tell you why I rated it that. For one, it's all in black and white. And when you're going through, there's no chapter segments whatsoever. So it's like 100 years, and I think they said 100 pages. So this guy's lifespan is tried to be crammed into this very narrow, very small book. And one of the other faults I found with this book was that it's called Julio's Day, but the story didn't really focus too much on Julio. It seemed to focus more or less on his family and his family members and extended family and neighbors and stuff like that. I just didn't understand why it was called Julio's Day, when it would talk about like cousins, nieces, and nephews and, uncles and stuff like that. And I was just so disappointed because I was expecting it to be about, a cultural experience, like, coming from Mexico and living in America. One of the things another reason why this is diverse, not only is Julio Mexican, but he is gay. They do allude to the fact that he is gay. They don't come right out and, say, oh, by the way, Julio's gay. There's a couple of scenes where they allude to the fact that he is gay because they show him with another guy with their shirts off and they're doing stuff in front of this disabled veteran from World War I. And then there's another character who acknowledges that he's gay, and this guy is openly gay. So, like, I think that maybe that's why so many people thought this was such a great book, just for those reasons. And the guy that wrote this, I think, has something to do with Love and Rockets, which is a graphic novel comic book series that I've heard of, but I've never read before. And I guess a lot of people, like, really loved his work, and that's why they thought this was so brilliant. But I just wasn't feeling it. I just thought that it was kind of a ripoff because it didn't really have anything to do with Julio. And what was his day anyways? I'm lost. I mean, am I missing something on this? Have you read this? I mean, do you know what Julio's day, like, what was the meaning behind the title and the story? Because if you know and I'm overlooking something, please tell me what I'm missing, because I just didn't get it. So that is my wrap-up of these diverse graphic novels. Like I said before, there was the one book I absolutely loved, there was one I thought was okay, and a couple I just didn't like, and I hated one of them. So, if you guys, like I said, it may be different for you. Please don't base, you're wanting to read these based on what I said. Please give these books a chance because they are diverse books and perhaps you may enjoy them for yourself. So that is my wrap-up of these diverse graphic novels. Questions, comments down below. Let me know. Have you read any of these? What do you think about what I have discussed? Till next time, guys. Later.